Yes, lads, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we'll discuss my top 5 players going into Game Week 22 and why you should consider them. If you find any of this content useful, feel free to subscribe and like. And without further ado, let's get into it. So let's start off this list by talking about the elephant in the room, Toney. Toney scored from a direct free kick in a 3-2 victory versus Nottingham Forest, and he played quite well. He picked up 8 points and a yellow card, and he was handed the captaincy armband by Thomas Frank. He was even introduced by the Undertaker theme song, making the return. So going forward, Toney has a double in Game Week 25, which looks quite good. Even though it is possibly the hardest double in the league versus Liverpool and City. But he also doesn't blank in Game Week 26 and doesn't blank in Game Week 29, and definitely someone we should be considering going forward. For my own team, I don't know if I'll bring him in just yet. If I were to bring him in, I would likely hold off until Game Week 24. That way you could get that fixture against Wolves, and then you could have the double in 25. So is Toney a good option? For sure. Let's get into the next player. So let's talk about arguably the best player in the league, Kevin De Bruyne. He was absolutely amazing against Newcastle. Absolutely no surprise there. And he's now rose to 10.5 million. 700,000 people have transferred him in, and the deadline is in 10 days. And this game week is not even over. But I can see why you would do it. For me, if you're going to bring in Kevin De Bruyne, I would likely wait until Spurs play Manchester City on the 26th in the FA Cup. That way you can get more information about how City may line up if he does start in that fixture. And you get a good grasp of what City will be doing going forward, as I imagine they'll play a full strength team. So Kevin De Bruyne also doubles in Game Week 25, and going forward, the fixtures for City are phenomenal. So for me, unless you already have a City asset in midfield, I don't see why you wouldn't go there. And I don't know what to do with Kevin De Bruyne, to be honest, because I feel like I need him, but maybe that's just because everyone else is transferring him in. So let's talk about my favourite player on this list, Alexander Isak at 7.6 million. In his last 3 fixtures, he's after returning against Nottingham Forest, Liverpool and City, arguably 2 of the hardest fixtures in the league, like we said. And in Game Week 22, he faces Aston Villa away, which is a tough fixture, of course. But Aston Villa play a really high line, and you could see Isak creeping in behind for sure. I'm fairly sure Isak is also on penalties, and in Game Week 23, he could even be a captaincy shout against Luton at home. So going forward, I really like Isak. The only issue you would have with him is the likes of Callum Wilson coming back and Isak staying fit himself. But other than that, he looks a great option, and he doesn't blank in Game Week 26 either. So next on the list, we have someone that you're probably not expecting, but he's one of my favourite players in the league to watch, and I thought he was absolutely amazing against Arsenal. Crystal Palace lost 5-0, and Eze was the best player in the pitch in my opinion. He was unbelievable. And for me, this is the type of time in the season where if you're willing to take a risk, Eze has really good fixtures coming up. And me personally, for a man that's on penalties and free kicks and a bit of excitement, why not? He's a good differential. Look, Crystal Palace are definitely struggling right now. And I see Roy Hodgson, unfortunately, getting a lot of scrutiny, even though I wouldn't put a lot of blame on him. I mean, the club isn't going in the right direction. But Eze at 6 million is a good differential for sure. And because I love him as a player, why not stick him on the list? You won't see people talking about him because he's not doing well, of course, and he is a small bit injury prone, but he looks to be back, and he looks sharper than ever. So he is a differential I have on this list just because I like him. And if you're willing to take a risk on him, I mean, go for it. Why not? So lastly, let's talk about 2 players who might be looking to get rid of this game week. Saka and Salah. So unfortunately, Saka blanked in a 5-0 victory against Crystal Palace, and Palmer owners were absolutely laughing. In fairness, I don't think I would have changed my decision. I would have ran that game 10 times over, and I still would have captained Saka. I mean, he was unfortunate not to return in a 5-0 win, whereas Palmer scored a penalty in a 1-0 victory. So that's the game, and I'm not too annoyed about it. But going forward, a lot of people have questions on what to do with Saka. Saka's 9.1 million, I think he is now, and he's not holding his own. He's a player that doesn't look confident at all. He's having lots of shots, but he's not tucking away his chances. So for me, I think I'll keep him for the Nottingham Forest fixture. I still think that's a really good fixture for Arsenal, and he could always do well in that. And then he plays Liverpool the following week, where I could be looking to get rid of him. For who is the main question, I think the likes of Gordon or even Eze if I was willing to take a risk. But for now, I think I'll hold on to him. Also, we'll talk about Salah because he played against Ghana and they drew 2-2. And Egypt have a good chance to get knocked out of this competition. But before game week 22 deadline, we get a lot of information about what's going to happen. Um, and I think I will hold on to Salah as long as possible until the deadline. He pulled up with a hamstring injury or a lower back one, I believe, and the cameras followed him after the game, of course, and to which he said he was fine. I know that's not a lot of information to go off, but I don't think it's a serious injury. So that wraps up today's video, lads. If you found any of it useful, feel free to subscribe and like, and I hope to see more of you. Keep in mind that the game week 22 deadline is 9 days away, so we might have a deadline stream until then, and I hope to get another video out by next weekend. So thank you for watching, and bye bye.